Folks, what's up? DGL7 is here, and actually, we are live with actually my favorite communist. I'll tell you right now. Now, the fact of the matter is that I don't really have a problem with any ideology, right? Like, that's just me personally, right? Yeah, you have people that are, into different styles of martial arts, like Jeet Kune Do or, Taekwondo, and they'll say one style is better than the other, but really, in the end, I really look at the person who's implementing it. Now, what makes Dust James my favorite communist is he actually takes care of the workers. So a lot of groups, they tend to focus on the leadership. But, it's really the communal, right, taking care of the whole group. Really, Dust James is one of the ones that really out here has, just from my experience, it really actually gives a shit about like how people in the organization are doing beyond the leadership, keeping them happy. So that's a brave situation. And I don't know if that really is technically communist or not. But I believe that each person has their own version of communism or whatever ideology that they're fulfilling. So, but you're my favorite communist straight up, like so far, you know what I mean? So very happy to have you on. I'm very happy to talk about the movement and other things going on because I think you have a lot of the same concerns as I do.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the kind words. I don't know. I think I was trained from a different school of socialism. There was definitely a huge difference between the broad mass Communist Party of the 1940s and 50s before McCarthyism that was largely based in the working class, and the later New Left that was largely based around academia in the middle class. And and now there's a resurgence of socialism amongst workers, and a lot of the groups, these legacy groups, aren't flipping the bill. I think we got some agreements on it. As far as like communism being a personal thing or not, to me, communism is a frame of mind. No, it's dialectic materialism, Marxism, is a way of understanding the world through a social science.
Well, you said like a whole bunch of words that I'm already lost, right? Yeah. What is dialectic materialism? Like, what is all like? That's what I get lost in the weeds, man.
Materialism is a way of understanding things by you take two seemingly contradictory ideas and then you put them together and see what works and what doesn't work to try to get them closer, to get a closer view of what reality is. So it's a way of better understanding reality to inform political decisions. But communism is just is a more advanced mode of production.
Okay,
like we went feudal, like it goes hunter-gatherer, slave societies, feudalism, then capitalism, then socialism was more advanced, and then communism even more advanced than socialism. And it's just a way of organizing the economy. And it depends on which class is in power and what reason the economy is ran. So in capitalism, the capitalists run the economy for profit. In socialism, the working class will run the economy for the benefit of the working class. That's
okay. So once you start talking about like economics and stuff like that, some other communists, self-identified communists, they themselves call themselves communists. I'm just wondering about this. The Larouchians, okay, do they also share this communism being a part of a right from feudalism to capitalism to like? Do they share this kind of or is this common in the communist world, or is this more unique to yourself?
The Larouchites are an obscure cult that was used by the FBI to attack communists in the 70s. And they've since rejected Marxism, and they've always been extremely anti-Soviet, even when they were.
But back to the original question, right? Like, is it so maybe they wouldn't agree with, right? But or do they? Maybe they do agree with that.
I don't think they currently even support Marxism. They don't even claim to be Marxist anymore.
So is it possibly communist without being Marxist?
No, communism is Marxism. You can be socialist without being Marxist. You can be a religious socialist.
But okay, very interesting. Okay, so just to get that. Okay, so thanks for making that clear.
My main point about it, communism is a scientific, political, social reality that's coming into being, and it's completely separate from the people who call themselves communist or socialist, who may or may not be applying that science correctly and may have completely different motives than
You know,
actually achieving it.
one of the things that you said earlier, which I really completely agree with, right? Yeah, is that the new left is kind of like heavily, like, influenced, maybe I think too much by like intelligentsia, right? Academia, and this kind of thing. I definitely agree with that 100%. What do you think led to these kinds of this kind of hierarchical kind of
McCarthyism, brutal suppression of the Communist Party, destroying the union movement, COINTELPRO, brutally killing the Panthers and other black radicals, also the labor aristocracy,
Hell yeah. At these
1968.
colleges and universities, all these professors want to talk about, well, I'm a communist, I'm a socialist, blah, blah, blah. Where are they as in terms of helping the workers in their own university, right? The staff, right? Yeah, that's clean. The faculty, the administration, the staff work in different angles. And if they're not helping the staff at their organization, in their own school, what kind of I just find it very you when I'm talking about that, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
at Yale, like the right, yeah, there's this, right. Some of them might in words say it, but they don't really show a lot of solidarity. Like, how do they get away with this open contradiction where they say they're communists, but they don't give a shit about the workers? I mean,
They never get challenged. They never put themselves in situations where they're going to get challenged. The only reason why they're doing it is to promote themselves, feel better about themselves, and have a little bit of hobby on the side.
I mean, all the
That's
students
it.
who's getting sucked in, can't they see this? I mean, isn't it like in the
Well,
core of the whole philosophy to like take care of the workers?
I mean, you got to look at like, okay, so I came up hard. I was in a family of 8. We lived at one point. We lived in a 2-bedroom trailer,
Okay.
and most of my friends were either black or Mexican immigrants. A lot of them undocumented. I worked in the factories with undocumented workers. I think my summer before I went into school, I worked in the chicken plant.
Yeah.
$9 an hour alongside the undocumented workers. And
a lot of them were missing fingers.
I was making $350 a week, and I thought that was good money.
I get that. I've been there.
Came up with nothing.
Your first paycheck, I mean, is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I saw the discrimination. I mostly white salespeople would go through one glass door, and all the black and brown folks, and like barely few white folks, had to go through these barbed wire gates and these roundabouts, and then these disgusting facilities, and then putting this big cooler with these knives and damp.
A lot of them were missing fingers and stuff too, right? It's a dangerous job processing that meat.
And a lot of them died during COVID. A lot of people in meatpacking died during COVID. No, but what I'm getting at, I went to college and I didn't really fit in with any of I actually went to Guilford College, which is a school founded by Quakers. And I had some Quaker influence. Some of the earlier Quakers who helped with the Underground Railroad, and a lot of the American Friends Service Committee is active both in helping immigrants' rights to an extent and being against the war, counter recruitment. I did an internship my summer right before I turned 19. I mean, before 18, that summer, right, that I worked at the chicken plant. I couldn't work there till I was 18.
Okay.
And I turned 18. My birthday is 21st of June. Okay. So I had the entire part of May. We used to get out early, like May. So I had part of May and part of June. And I actually I took it upon myself to do counter recruitment in my local military town because I didn't like seeing poor people going to kill other poor people.
I get
that, usually brown people. And I took it upon myself to follow the recruiters around and say, hey, they might send you over there. If you're a woman, you're more likely to be sexually harassed or abused or raped. They can change your contract at any time. I went around and followed the people the recruiters were following around and telling them the reality about the military.
See, you're my type of guy, right? All these like socialist leaders and stuff, where they'll be on a podium talking about this stuff, but they're not really out there actually really doing the work. I mean, come on, man.
But anyways, I get to Guilford College, and this is supposed to be like a peace school, and like there was a peace group in it. and all these people were like rich kids that didn't give a fuck about anything. And this was during Obama, right? And
Yeah.
I was trying to organize a peace rally at the school, and these liberals turned it into an Obama victory celebration. They took my rally and showed up and supported Obama, who
Yeah. Wow.
immediately started bombing countries.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from. Like this shit.
Appreciate it, man. Okay. Um, if we could,
Yeah.
let's switch over to a group that we actually had some interaction with, right? Yeah, the John Brown Volunteers. We take a look at Yankee Tanky, right? Yeah, he went off on a little thing, but I think he was actually a poor person, just so you know,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And some of the
I
people, right,
know them.
they went into poverty, right? Yeah, trying to sell buttons on the street. I tried to tell them that wasn't going to work, right? I tried to help them, right? Because I do, I've been homeless myself. I was like, look, like,
I can
come
tell
on,
a
man.
little bit more
But
about them.
why do you think they just a quick question, why do you think they went back to Caleb or Silent? They seemed like fighters.
Okay. That was Caleb's group entirely from the beginning.
Okay.
All right. So Caleb Maupin, who worked with Workers World, was really
Oh, really? I
ostracized.
didn't know he worked with Workers World.
Yeah, he was with Workers World, and then he was kind of ostracized. He was seen as kind of autistic, kind of like geeky. People thought he was a dork and didn't
Yeah, I
really
get
want to
that.
organize. But
Yeah.
he's highly intelligent.
He
Um,
is? Okay.
but in a lot of ways, he uses it to manipulate and control people and promote his own ego. But he's intelligent to an extent.
Okay.
Um, and he broke off of them, and then he started an organization called Students and Youth for a New America, trying
Okay.
to combine some of the older communist ideas of patriotism
Okay.
with socialism to try to appeal to regular people or whatever, because they thought they were applying too much on the campuses. Similar to our sentiments. He was trying to tap into the similar. We're gonna get the regular people somehow, and honestly, I think he probably was frustrated with a lot of the groups that we're frustrated with, and he was trying to go out on his own and maybe do something better.
Okay.
But the dude is completely self-absorbed, full of himself, and willing to hurt everyone around him to support his own ego. So he ended up being worse
I get that. Yeah,
than
but
the organizations that he
so
wanted to be better than.
looking at the people
So
who actually testified against him, right? Yeah, they were out there on the streets doing protests and stuff. They were out there ready to
yes,
do the work. They're seeped around all
well,
this
he had it.
this
Maupin
yeah.
had this idea. He wanted an out. First it was Students Youth for New America. Then it became CPI. He did the YouTube show. He basically helped turn his YouTube into CPI. I
Okay.
was a fan of him. I watched him. I've been watching Maupin since the Occupy days. I
His
remember he
basics are
had
not bad. His basics
he,
on communist ideas
yeah, he
are
used to
pretty right.
have a
He
real
says the
long
basics solid.
hair. He's a
Yeah, I seen
redheaded
that. Yeah.
guy. He used to
Yeah.
have real long hair and a beard and go in and yell in a Walmart to
But
support
he
the
treats his
workers and
own
stuff.
workers like shit, and his workers don't really get
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
platformed.
Let's say,
Like
but I've been
something's
watching him.
weird.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got you. I've been watching him from the beginning, and I thought, okay, this is a cool guy. I was like, I
Yeah.
listened to him. I joined his organization. I was like, I don't agree here. I think he's full. I thought he was full of himself from day one. But
Okay.
there's so many limited choices out there. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because I've had these problems with the more established left. That's what pushed me to a figure like Maupin in the first place. And this happens over and over again. If you look at the group, there was another group that was very grifty and somewhat shock. You ever heard of Black Hammer?
No.
Okay,
Maybe I
so
have. I
Black
got you.
Hammer
There's a
is
lot
a
of
break
groups.
off of the Uhuru movement, which I consider
I
to be
heard of
more
Ruru.
principled.
Okay, I've
They're
heard of
more
Ruru.
principled, but this is a small, younger, less principled break off group. And they realized black and brown people have been treated like shit by middle class activists.
Hell
But instead
yeah.
of offering something better, mostly white middle class activists, instead of offering something better, you had these egotistical leaders just finding holes in the current left, and then just bringing people over to exploit them and with no direction, without any democratic processes. And I think that's what happened with Maupin. I think there's an entire right trend. You have Jackson Hinkle, you have Haas, and this idea of MAGA communism, which takes the patriotic socialism to a whole new thing, and the regular workers are actually Trump supporters, and somehow the Trump supporters are the most revolutionary people. It's just weird grifter internet ideologies to confuse people into getting views, getting donations, and build up these egotistical cult leaders. And it's really sad because a lot of the people who get involved in these things really want to do something. And in the case of young John Brown volunteers, I was at the conference in Pennsylvania right before where the initial idea of John Brown volunteers was going to start. I met Yankee Tanky there.
Yeah.
And Yankee Tanky was excited to be there. Yankee Tanky, I think
he's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, Yankee Tanky drove his like broke down van from Philly all the way out to the country.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, but he thinks
he had no money
now. But
and
he
went up. He said, "I'm going to donate $100 to Maupin," and I'm like, "Bro, these folks got it way better than you. They don't need it." And I told him, "Calm down." And I'm like, "Well, maybe he's talking about this John Brown volunteer thing. Why don't you do that? Maybe they'll pay you." I actually told him, "Hey," I told him, "Hey, do the youth group." I didn't know what it was going to be. I suggested he do it. And they put him in this horrible hotel that only cost like $600 a week in like the bad side of Jersey.
Yeah.
And they moved that dude Keaton, this dude who's a fascist now, young guy straight out of high school. Like he's a young kid. He was abused as a child. I think he's closeted gay, and he's a fascist now. He's really hurting. My heart goes out to this young person.
You and I both know about some things going on behind the scenes with that whole situation, which I haven't really put out there.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, I know the name of victim number 2. I know her status. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah,
I'm not.
I know how they were involved with each other. I know that Keaton was also involved with that, and I know that it wasn't Caleb also tapping that; it was also Keaton as well. They're
young people. They're young people in a new space, in a new city.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about the young people.
I get that. Yeah,
interactions with each other.
Yeah.
That's between them.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody in a position of power,
yeah,
and these people are depending on them, and then member 2 had a job, and then unnecessary, egotistical, classist pressure from Maupin put on member 2 caused member 2 to lose their job.
Yeah.
And then being in that bad situation that Maupin put them in, hiring them for sex work and ostracizing them from the organization. This is disgusting. This is what Maupin did.
Abuse of workers.
He's still out there.
If
he's still out there, he's still running conferences, still giving speeches, still talking with these fuckers.
If I told these same activists, right? Yeah, there's a boss who's sexually abusing his workers, like at the local fast food place. They go out and protest.
Yeah,
but they got abused, and for some reason they can't see it.
Okay, they went from 200 members to 50 members.
Okay,
and a lot of people don't respect them, and it's just a few really isolated weird people that are really acceptable to cults. They're an open cult now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's really sad.
That actually talking about the cult thing does, like, we take a look at, like, earlier we said the Roosh was a cult. I think some of the members are more into that side than others, right? Some people probably in all the groups are honest actors who just got surrounded by some other stuff and got caught up. I think there's different levels of that, right? Maybe some people are more into scheming and less scheming. You know what I mean? So, but we take a look at other groups like Bob Avakian. I was literally
I don't know. I just let me finish. So I'm not.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Like I said, I was involved in this group, and I helped invite somebody in that was treated horribly. I didn't really know what was going on. Like I knew there was problems, but as soon as I found out the implication of what was going on with our comrades, I supported all of the people that were abused by him, and I supported the statement against it. And I've been continuing on my organization after coming out against mopping, and I've lost a lot of followers. I've gotten a lot of hate for it, simply for standing up for the victims and trying to tell the truth.
Yeah. And because you're a whistleblower, and once you are shown to not be a shill and not to bend over for the people with power or money, then they know you're not reliable, and they they blackball you. So I'm sorry you're there, but I'm actually proud of you.
Go ahead on with the conversation. I just want to get clear my name before we
Well, actually, you earned a lot of points in my book for the way that you handled it and for the way you're continuing to, right? A lot of people, when they realize that they're starting to lose the followers and stuff, right? Yeah. Then all of a sudden they do an about face and they start to turn on their own principles to maintain what they think they have, but they're actually selling out themselves. And I appreciate you sticking to your principles, man. Appreciate that. Yeah. Now, but we take a look at before these groups, right? From the Russians, right? That I think there is some element of, right? Yeah. Some kind of worship going on. From Caleb Maupin to like Bob, like RevCom to Bob Aiken. Is there some type of all religions and all ideologies have their type of like cultish behavior, but why do you think that this happened? Is this like something that you would think communism would be like particularly maybe resilient to fighting against this type of right? Isn't communism really about the whole group? So when does one person become the whole group?
Well,
like, why does this happen?
Well, I mean, having one central leader and that central leader being the embodiment of him, it was somewhat effective in the Stalin era. Like if you look, Stalin, who represented the masses of the Soviet people as their leader, actually got them to build dams, turn the most backward country in Europe to an industrialized country in a few decades, defeated the Nazis, eventually went on to invent space travel. Like it worked. They did stuff, but they had that model. Now let's look at United States leftist after McCarthyism. All right, you have these people who really believe in things, want to change things. Nobody's listening to them. They're arguing with each other who's the best socialist. They're not actually organizing anymore, or if they are, it's to a very limited extent. So, like praising the leader and saying they're better than the other people is about the only thing that gets people into these groups. They're like, because they praise the leader up so much, association with that leader makes those people feel fulfilled in their horrible, depressing lives, and they join a cult. It has nothing to do with communism. It's just the conditions.
All these people say he's great.
Anything.
He must be great.
There's a
Let
lot
me
of
try
cults
it
in the
out.
United States. Yeah, there's
That
a
makes
lot
sense.
of
Yeah.
there's a lot of cults in the United States, and a lot of times when there isn't an established vehicle with institutions, with democratic processes, and with grievances process, when there's an interest in something, but there's no institution to fulfill that interest, you have these unregulated, not very established groups pop up, and you can have bad, because there's no regulation or no oversight, no community involvement. You can get these figures that simply use this desire in people for something good and manipulate it to their own ends, just
And
to
they're so
support their own ego.
successful with it. They're so successful. They are really monopolizing the whole entire lefty space. And it's really weird to watch these whole entire groups of people say that they're about the workers and then have complete disregard for workers. It's really amazing to watch this hypocrisy. Actually, here's something interesting. I actually sent. Oh, did they? Oh yeah, okay. I sent some messages over to let me see if I can share my screen with you. This is hilarious. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Share the screen with you. Okay. Oh, this is hilarious. Do you see this right here? Can you see it? It's
I
kind
had
of
trouble
small.
reading to begin with. It's small.
Okay, yeah, I see. Okay. So here, it says that I'm active working with extensive work. This is actually me, one of the organizers for RevComs, right? Yeah. You could see, hi, hey, DGL, so this is Tattoo from Rev Club Revolution Books in Harlem. Good to talk to you, right? Yeah. So I try to talk to them, but the only thing they'll say is, right? Yeah, check out these interviews via Let's Talk After, right? He sent that twice. Also, check out our YouTube channel, Revolution RNL show. This is the video that was mentioned at the program. This is the film on fascism, Trump Pence regime must go by B.A. Bob Avakian. Okay. I replied, Bob Avakian's words are good. I'm working on issues that likewise are under prioritized. I have group steps that can help with some of my ongoing projects, such as working to get justice for the wrongfully incarcerated, fight for disabled, and unique as a Korean American, I bring unique positions regarding the impact of American imperialism. And then you can see right here, there's no response from them whatsoever. I also went into their chat earlier tonight, and I even told them about this. I invited them to this event. Oh wait, okay. I just saw on the bottom right, the share screen is in the StreamYard. So, but I invited them to tonight's talk, and I hope that they don't want to have any real discussion unless it's a shill, and it's so suspect.
I don't know, these outreach people are usually volunteers, and they're looking for people for specific tasks. They don't. I mean, a lot of them don't actually want a discussion.
So, are they really here to help, or are they here to tell us to do work for them?
That's interesting. I mean, I could go some of the history of Revolutionary Communist Party. Bob Avakian is the very rich son of a judge in California who became popular in the Berkeley movement in the 60s, which was largely the free speech movement at Berkeley in California. And it was mostly middle-class white kids. But I mean, there was revolution all over the world. The colonized and oppressed people were having national liberation struggles. And these are kids, maybe middle-class kids, don't understand the working class, never been a part of the exploited, but they want to do, I think there's a tendency within youth to want to do what's right and to want to know the truth. And I think Avakian did good work early on. Maybe there was problems with it. He allied himself with the Panthers. Which is an organization that good work.
I appreciate
they went on to
today. You know what I mean? Exactly.
I got you. They went on. They helped.
But I'll give him credit. Yeah, I like a lot of things he says, and in the past, there's some good stuff.
They ran. They basically took over and ran Veterans for Peace for a while.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
They were a huge force behind Veterans for Peace. And actually, did you know that it's legal to burn the American flag, right?
Oh, yeah, he was doing that. Yeah, I think it's on his.
That was a court case, Johnson versus Texas. Johnson, the plaintiff who sued and got the right for all of us to burn the flag, was a member of the Revolutionary Communist Party. So so honestly, with the little bit of left that's happened in the United States,
just to reach out to because I know there's a lot of conservatives who watch my show, and I understand your outrage with that, but I also respect one of the great things about America is the freedom, right? To have the freedom of speech and to do that.
And a communist got us that freedom. And communist
that's an interesting point right there. Yeah. So look, you're not wrong to be offended, right? Yeah, but once again, right, you're all about liberty, right? You're all about freedoms and stuff. Come on, man. So I'm not really, I'm not burning the flag, but I'm telling you right now, I do respect
what I'd say is probably
RCP make the statement.
RCP is probably one of the best organizations. This is sad. This is a bad thing.
Yeah.
RCP is probably one of the best organizations that's actually done stuff. And they've done the very limited things that I just said.
I was literally trying to ask for help. Before I jumped on this, we were a little bit late starting. I was literally in the RevCom's chat, right? They just had a live stream begging for help for the wrongfully incarcerated, and a lady who literally I can show on my screen of a lady, actually her son saying, "The cops are at my house. Please help me. I'm in fear for my life." I'm at their bookstores in Harlem, New York, by the way, right? Yeah, and I asked them for help, and they shut me down. They shut me up. So I'm like, okay. So at the end of the video, I send an email to the victims saying, here's me asking for help. You go asking them for help, right? Yeah. But when I ask them for help, they shut me down. Maybe they'll listen to you, right? Yeah. But it's really quite tragic to see actual victims coming in and getting shushed. I actually remember that was another problem with the RevComs when I went to when the Jordan Neely died. He's a subway performer here in New York City. And I'm a subway performer myself because I'm actually blackballed from a lot of groups not so much RevComs because I'm kind of newer to them, but like PSL, like, you know, a lot of DSA, right? Yeah, they're blackballing me. So I'm forced into poverty. And,
Mm.
you know, when I was there at the Jordan Neely protest as a subway performer, and I tried to get raise the issue about one of the longest wrongfully incarcerated men in New York State history, right? Yeah, they told me other Asian women, right? Yeah, I said, why are there no Asian men here? They told me to shut up, and they told me that I didn't deserve to speak.
Mm.
Real
Yeah, I think
these,
you're like I've
yeah,
said all
these
these things they've
academics, man.
done,
Yeah,
but I mean these groups are not super huge. They got a little bit more money than most grass roots. They're majority volunteer labor base,
yeah,
and they're usually very issue specific, and that those issues and those specific things are tied around what leadership says. So basically, if you're not down for doing their specific goals and not helping them to do them, they want nothing to do with you. That's how they operate.
even if it's in the same cause, they talk about like police, you
Yes,
know, oppression,
that's
blah
how they
blah blah.
operate.
Like we're trying to
Now,
really address this stuff. Yeah,
yes. So I understand why they shut you down. Like that's them. That's what they do. Like, and I think there is an element. Maybe those goals of that leadership aren't being informed by the needs of the mass of the people because these are aloof millionaires with not that aren't connected. It makes sense. I mean, maybe they
yeah,
got some good theories, you know, but
yeah.
honestly, I don't theory without action ain't shit. And your theory starts getting bad if it's not connected to reality. Um, so yeah, it's an issue. But I mean, I have met people within that framework, given the objectives from leadership, who have done good work.
Okay,
I met people who facilitated through RCP, who facilitated an annual march in a black neighborhood
yeah,
um, against police brutality. They allowed local poets to speak. They allowed the victims of police violence, gave them a platform to speak.
that's the important part
They
right
said the
there.
names
Yeah, the victims.
they said the names of the people that were killed, and they did this annually. And this was a
Okay,
huge, and this was an empowerment for an oppressed community. And I watched them do it. And I watched them lead this effort. And I think members of the RCP are doing good work. It's just it's somewhat limited by the dictates of leadership, and I don't think they have necessary democratic processes to expand that.
so how
They've
is that
also
even
been,
communism? Is communism has some democratic elements to it, doesn't it? Or is
yes,
it
I
like
mean,
really democratic?
communism is supposed to operate on democratic centralism. Democratic centralism is the needs of the people go through different transition belt organizations to leadership to better understand the situation, and leadership is supposed to act on behalf of the necessary needs and desires of the people. And if you don't have mass organizations connected to the masses, you don't know what the fuck they want. So and a lot of these isolated organizations can't effectively practice that.
You know, one of the great scams that I think really goes on, and I think that you actually addressed that before. You said like you weren't really sure about like, you know, how all this MAGA communism stuff is coming out, but because they're just selling the idea of doing something different, right? Yeah.
Mm.
And as long as you don't have to examine themselves, right, or their background or their qualifications or anything, as long as they can sell you, oh, I'm different, right? Yeah. And that's how they're
Mhm.
selling the Trump stuff and the right wing stuff, because right now, the academia and the establishment is honestly right. Biden's right. The left is in control right now. How left are
Well,
they really? But
the
you know,
all the right wing stuff is written by billionaires too.
yeah. Yo, what's
It's
up, man?
all
Yeah, you damn right. And I'm review. Yo, just so you know, I actually, you know, my guy Nolan Farrell, who's taking on, and I understand his frustration with the Democrats, right? Yeah, because the Queen's DA, you know, Hakeem Jeffries, right, actually endorsed the Queen's DA, who actually, you know, is they wrote the her conviction title unit said the evidence used against him was faulty, but they're not exonerating this guy purposefully. So he's so mad he wants to go to Trump, right? But I
mm.
said, look, you know, during the election cycle, this is also true. I tried to contact the Republicans, but they never really raised the issue for you either, man. So don't trust them either. You know what I mean? But I get where they're frustrated. They just feel like that's the only other viable option. So, you know,
Mm.
A lot of
Yeah, I
people
saw
don't think so.
RCP do good work when it came to Libya.
Yeah.
Libya, the most prosperous country in Africa, was bombed by the first black president in the United States, completely destroyed. A slave trade returned.
Yo,
I think the only
a friend of mine from the Green sent me the book by Gaddafi. That was a good
Mhm.
read. Have you read it? It's pretty good.
The CPI, that was the first book they published. It was a
Oh, really?
reprint of it with an introduction by Caleb Maupin.
Oh, well. Well, okay. That
It's
was
a
good
good
until the
book.
Caleb Maupin part. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
bad book. Yeah,
it's a
that's
good
cool.
book,
I
but
liked it a lot.
that's Maupin manipulating a great legacy that's not heard of for his own interests.
Yeah,
Like, the Green Book is an amazing book. Very few people in the left know about it. So Maupin used that fact to promote himself. That doesn't mean that that's still a good book. He
it
was
makes
just
some good
trying to use it.
points.
Yeah, yeah.
And you would think by
It
reading
was
that book, you
funny
would see the
because
yeah, and you would
it
think you
was
would see
funny
the
because
yeah,
Gaddafi's name was like this big,
yeah.
and Maupin's name was just a little bit smaller below it, and all he did was
But
an
like the
introduction.
thing is that like Gaddafi, right, in that book, right, or he really points out to a lot of the problems that Caleb Maupin would end up having. So how do these people read
Mm.
these books and not see like this is actually happening within like right in their
They just
faces?
recognize it as something good and an opportunity to promote himself. But what I'm saying is, who are the only very few people on the left stood up and defended Libya? And I think Cynthia McKinney was one
Okay,
of the people. The Nation of Islam, the Uhuru movement, these long-standing black groups that actually have some connections to the black community and international politics were the only people that came out. The majority of the left was silent. PSL didn't do shit. Workers World barely did shit. I mean, I was in a small organization which was an old left group. Basically, the children of the people in the 40s who organized the first unions in my state. That's who I was trained by,
okay,
and we came out against Gaddafi. But there was a group of international socialists, the Trotskyites, and they were cheering it on along with the academia. And they were
you
the
mean
only official socialist club on campus.
you mean International Socialist Organization?
Yes, ISO.
I used to be part of that group. Interestingly, did I tell you about that?
No, no.
Oh no. Okay, so here's the interesting story, right? Yeah. It wasn't really that like Workers World was also around back then. That was back in the 90s. And the thing is that it wasn't really because I was so like entranced by the ideology, but they would actually put up signs around campus like we're going to go to this to help these workers. We're going to fight this racism and stuff. We're going to help Mubia Abu Jamal. And I was like, yo, like these people are actually doing stuff. Like I'm going to hang out with these guys and try to actually help people. You know what I mean? So I like that. But what happened was here's a funny story, right? Yeah. So we went to and this actually opened my eyes to a lot of just being skeptical about socialism in general, right? Yeah, or just like ideologies. So the thing is that we went to the national meeting that was in Chicago, but we were in Buffalo, right? We were not in New York City. We also went to New York City event as well. So we went to Chicago, right? The thing is that the also we went to New York, right? The people in the urban city were just so much, they had us. We were wowed by the big city, and we're like, wow, this is so exciting. We were cool to be here. Then what happened was that they had the national meeting, right? Yeah. And we
Mhm.
traveled from Buffalo. So we were like, oh, we want to attend. We were excited to be there, right? We're all gung ho and eager beavers, right? Yeah. And then we found that it was closed and we weren't allowed to attend. And we're like, well, why? So like we understood that being a socialist was controversial and stuff. So we said like we understand, right? Yeah, it's a little bit, we put in time and work, and we're regional representatives. Like it'd be nice, but we understand. But we weren't going to make a noise about it. We were just like we understand. But in our own hometown in Buffalo, right? Yeah, we not to protest them, not to right. We asked about it. We didn't really make a big deal out of it, right? Yeah, but we were understandably disappointed. But when we went back to our hometown, we had a meeting and we decided to make our own executive meetings open to the public because we were just honest guys who want to help workers, who want to fight racism and just do good work. So we're like, we want to show the world that we're open, and we want to just help people. Because on that alone, we got our whole branch got derecognized just for that. What? No discussion, nothing. Just you're all kicked out. What?
Mm.
Yo,
Yeah,
what
that's
the
crazy,
yo?
man.
Yeah, that was so. on that day, like I was like, yo, this is so. Then we started to like we had the meetings. We were like reading. We talked about the Vanguard Party and stuff, and that's when I got more exposed to those ideas and stuff, and I got to see it played out in real time. But for me, I was like, yo, like that's when I lost a lot of faith in organizations and said, you know what, I'm just gonna look to who's actually doing the work.
I think you're right. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's going to get the masses. What's going to get the masses involved in organizations is an effective organization that can serve the needs of the people. That's why they're going to join, and that's why communists joined in the 30s and 40s. Because if you were going to get evicted from your house, it don't matter if you were conservative. It don't even matter if you were racist. If you didn't want to get evicted from your house, you called the Communist Party, and the Communist Party would show up and fight the cops for you. That's that was the success of the 1930s Communist Party, and that's what we need to rebuild.
So right now, the academic control of communism or socialism.
I don't know. I kind of want to go into my ISO stories because they were the only,
I want to learn.
They were the only one on campus.
Yeah, same thing here.
And I had the opposite problem.
Oh, like really?
The people I met were older folks who I met through the anti-war movement, and they were actually involved in the union movement and actually doing good work. But the ISO on campus, they would sell books, meet in a classroom, and then go to fancy bars afterwards. And the only one thing a year they did was go to a pro-LGBT rally.
Oh.
That was the ISO, and I'm like,
I can see being dissatisfied with that. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. I was like, actually, the RCP actually worked with me on defending Libya.
Cool.
Their limited membership came and spoke out on campus with me. They helped me organize a talk-in. And gave me resources, young activists, to try to get some kind of discussion. What happened was, because of my efforts, the school was like, there's interest around this issue. We got to do something. So the school got all of the professors of the social science department to come out and have a panel discussion in support of the invasion in Libya, or the bombardment in Libya, destruction of Libya. And then there was this one professor who was cool with the RCP, but didn't have his tenure.
So he got scared.
And he was cool. He would say he supported us in closed doors.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't say nothing to the guy.
People want to give these academics so much credit and stuff, but come on. Yeah, most of them are cowards.
So here I am, a 19-year-old talking, who had to listen to this bullshit. And then from the audience, I went on like a 5-minute speech against why we should be funding our education here and not destroying the most prosperous nation in Africa.
And somehow we have 3 viewers. That's very rare for me. But if I texted Revolutionary the RevComs, if you guys are watching right now, look, we're not trying to just bring you down, right? My man just said positive things about y'all right now. It's a little bit, come talk to us, right? Stop shutting us out. I'm sorry.
And I had a speak in one. I actually had a speak out, and I gave out flyers, and I was like speaking out and giving out flyers, and people from the ISA came over to me and said, "Oh, this isn't working. We don't really know what we're talking. Let's go sit around in this tree and actually talk about the issues." And they basically said, "Oh, it's more nuanced. Maybe it's a good thing they're being invaded." I'm just it's like, God damn. Yeah, that was the ISO for me. It was like, but RCP helped me out. Now, I can get into my more negative stories of RCP when you're ready.
Actually, I do want to hear about some of those. I want to learn about as much as I can. But one thing that you mentioned earlier was Workers' World, right? I know Workers' World actually has some beef with PSL. I know Workers' World was back in the 90s, so I really don't know about. I think PSL actually sprung out later. So actually, because I even did an interview with Judith Greenspan from I think the West Coast. So I've been, and I know they have an office in New York City. I was thinking about going to visit the asses, right? Yeah. I appreciate a lot of the work they do. I saw them at the Palestinian thing. I gave them props. I was like, yo, thanks for being here, right? Yeah, they also came to a Korean event, but they don't respond to me when I reach out to them, right? Yeah, they don't. It's radio silence from Workers' World, and I know I sent them an email begging them. I was like, look, PSL is trying to raise up alternatives to me. They're trying to raise up fake activists. Let me be your guy. I have a lot of work as in terms of anti-war stuff, right? As in terms of like helping people with disabilities. You've seen some of my work, right? Yeah, people with wrongful convictions. I could help bring your group up, right? Yeah, because these other freaking millionaires are trying to squash me out here. And supposedly Workers World has beef with PSL, but it seems like they don't want to get involved in this.
It's Larry Combs,
I don't know.
an older black gentleman, is kind of like the culture at Workers World, and they've gotten a lot smaller. PSL is a break off of Workers World. The
Right.
Answer Coalition used to be part of Workers World, and the people who ran the Answer Coalition, which is arguably the part of Workers World that was doing the most work, it was the strongest portion of Workers World, broke off and became PSL. And Workers World has been a small, pitiful group that has been shrinking ever since. And
Yikes.
PSL has basically gone on to manage the protest movement.
So, like, I hear that they're at odds, but why wouldn't they want to grab onto someone like myself and lift them up, right, when they have an opportunity to revitalize themselves? Or are they maybe
They're not
connected to
interested.
PSL?
Yes.
Or I don't know what.
These cultish leaders are only interested in doing a very few set dedicated tasks that usually just praise and stroke their own egos. That's
Who?
the truth.
Thanks for letting me know. Yeah. I don't know who's in charge of Workers World, but interesting. Okay, it's possible. Yeah. I wish
Yeah.
it was otherwise. There's enough
Yeah.
people in the group, right?
I'm not saying a lot of people join these groups
Yeah.
and want to do good. And some of the membership, the lower level membership, when you working with them, don't see them as a Workers World representative. See them as a person that's still developing. Because a lot of these organizations, they'll have the boomers on top that run the group, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll have some middle-aged people that are like in the middle that been there a little bit. But the majority of the foot shoulders are 18, 20-year-olds who do this 2 or 3 years and then don't get any from it and then drop out. So most of those people you talk to, young folks that are volunteers and reps of them, they're not going to be in that very long. So maybe you can help build them up. And if you're doing more than Workers World is, maybe they'll want to join you. Maybe
Yeah. Some of the older people are coming out though, for the events.
Yeah.
A lot of the old people are. I think PSL really has, and the DSA has more
Not
of a
to
lock on
say
the younger
that's
crowd.
the general trend. That's
But
just
that
not,
is, you're absolutely right about that being the general
Yeah.
trend. You're absolutely right. And by the
Yeah.
way, thanks for pointing that out. I should I should take what you just said right there and make a short minute clip on that, right? Yeah, for the shorts, because that's really, it helps people to recognize that pattern. That's such a really, you're damn right that this is happening in so many groups, and you can really see through the BS. Yeah. Why are all the people, young people, right? Yeah, doing the stuff? Shouldn't there be also experienced people at part of it? If they're not, why not? It's, that's a great point right there. Yeah, that's so true. I really appreciate you bringing that up. So go ahead, tell me more about I am interested in RevComs, right? They've been disappointing about when I actually asked them for help. We could talk about I am interested in some of these stories, but who can I go to for help? My people need help. People with wrongful convictions. Kay Presley, right? Yeah, she moved out of her home right now, and I could show you, the son just sent me an email, right? Yeah. This was on the 7th. Oh, it's this morning? Was it this morning? Saying that I'm in fear for my life. How can I, right? Yeah.
I don't
How
know.
can
I run a loose coalition of
yeah.
I run a few chat groups that are loose coalition of working class activists and content creators that we network with each other and
I
try to
want to
support
thank
each
you
other.
right now, because you just had a show on the Venezuelan Guyanese situation, and so many people, right? Yeah, are talking about the Israel Palestine. That's a real issue. But the war's about to pop off in Venezuela, Guyana. Not only that, right? Yeah, Eritrea and Ethiopia about to go down, right? Yeah. And thanks for giving a shit beyond what's going to get you the clicks and the views, right? Yeah. And really being on the forefront of talking about something that's a very serious issue that's about to pop off. I really appreciate you getting involved on that and being a leader.
No, but the right answer is none of these boomer cults are going to help you. You got to help yourself in your own community.
Goddamn right. Yeah. You got it. But the kids, right? Yeah, the boomers have the money, and they got the fancy offices, and they have the resources that the kids want. So They keep them and they give them a title and they gas them up, and it's fucking disgusting, and it's abusive, and it's exploitative.
We need long-term fighters that are connected with their people, and they make lifetime relationships and are lifetime learners, and continually to dedicate a portion of their efforts to the improvement of their community for the rest of their lives. And you got to build actual structures to be able to do that. And we have to basically rebuild what we had in the 30s and 40s countries, and what other socialists have all over the world. Like everywhere there's been socialism, the base of socialism is a workers' council. Like the Soviet Union is a Soviet. The Soviet were workers' councils, and the workers' councils were organizations that had real that had worked out of, were representatives of real working class communities, and they had real say in the central committee that eventually went to the leadership, and they carry out tasks for the workers. And that's what they did. That's why they were able to build the dams and the roads and keep themselves safe against the vicious imperialist attacks. But most of the time, socialists come from the most exploited people. They build community and they make gains, and then they're attacked by the state. And then they have their force to defend themselves. They usually don't try. You don't try to get on violence begin with.
So I do have a question for you regarding this, right? Yeah. So what do you think is the role? Because I think like at the beginning of the conversation, you correctly, like in my opinion, correctly identified the academia, right? Yeah, and the people who are middle class and not really unconcerned with the conditions of the working class, right? Yeah, have kind of taken over socialism and communism, like not for the good of it, right? Yeah. What is the role of academia, or as in terms of the revolution, or as in terms
they're
of
supposed to serve the
movement?
people. They're supposed to use. They have the students have education. They know things about the world.
Some people say that academics are not truly productive. They're just kind of like
they
sitting
need to
there in their
take that
chairs.
and offer it to the masses of people in a way they understand that can improve their lives, and not use that information to simply further their own career, build their own egos, and give themselves a social club on the weekend. That's it.
Now I do, actually thinking about it though, unfortunately that can also happen in some labor unions as well, right? Yeah. This kind of
labor
corruption
unions
can happen
are
in
also
all the groups. Yeah, this corruption can happen in everywhere. So
especially in the imperialist core, we have a strong enemy that viciously attacked and destroyed the Communist Party, viciously attacked and manipulated the labor unions, has manipulated labor leadership. Honestly, what do we expect in the imperialist core? So
they've also manipulated our educational system, and we're trained to be helpless.
As a socialist, we are in the imperialist core. This place is the home base of these few hundred people, monopoly capitalists, who own the banks, who own the oil companies, that basically control the rest of this economy and the global economy. These people use slave labor from all over the world, extort resources, have basically control over the entire global economy. You don't think they're going to use that wealth, power, and control to build huge propaganda apparatuses, to use the state intelligence agencies of their many little
armies? They have too much to lose. They absolutely will. So
that's what they've been doing. So, I mean, honestly, the way Marxism understands things, you have the superstructure and the economic base, right? The economic base is the economy, who's in power, what I just described. The superstructure is all of politics, including left organizing. And this is only a reflection of the economic base. It makes sense that this is the way it is. And the only way to change it is to try to change the economic base, which means you got to get to the poorest of the poor, the most exploited workers, serve their interest, unite them, and build power that can confront the powers that be. If you just try to be on yourself and go against the system with no power base, with no connection to the community, you're going to be manipulated, bought off, and if you actually try to do something and don't have anybody to defend you, or killed.
You know,
That's all that's going to happen. You're not going to change anything.
in this day of super duper surveillance, right? Yeah. How
Mm-hmm.
can we really have a revolution? It seems very difficult.
Get to the masses and build power. Use
I'm trying.
analog and older technologies they can't track.
Yeah,
This is
I
hard
get
work.
you. It is,
Be on
yeah.
your edge. Security culture. This is what the communists did. They were dragged out of their houses. They were tortured to give up names.
Yeah, they went mad overboard. Yeah, but they had everything to lose, right? They had everything to lose because they controlling everything. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I do get it. I feel like it's the nature of power somewhat because I see so much of this being executed in so-called socialist groups and communist groups. I feel the
I mean, it makes sense.
disregard and the
It makes
persecution.
sense that, like, I'm not even mad at these people. Like, I know these people. I can look at them and know that, and based on the economic structure, based on what these people have done,
Yeah,
I can look at them and I know what they are. I'm not even mad at them. I think
yeah. It
whatever
makes
money
sense from their
they have,
perspective, I guess. Yeah,
because the money they have doesn't come from the masses, because the money is coming from academia and other sources, and they can be easily um, be controlled in a way. The only way we're going to have something is that something that's rooted in the masses have power over, and that they fund, and that's hard to build. But I don't think we're going to get it by attacking just viciously attacking these groups and following these groups around. We got to build something better. We got to build something better outside of it and win the people over. We got to have
I
something
get
better to
that. I get
offer.
that. Yeah.
We got to have something better to offer, and then we can overtake them. And then they'll be coming to us. And then once we have something better, the capitalists are going to come and try to bribe us off.
Their lies and their bullshit manipulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
With their false promises and the
Yeah.
treachery. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you spoke a lot of truth there, man. You gave me a lot to think about, and your perspective is one I really. What do you think actually? It was your poor upbringing that gave you a lot that opened your eyes. Yeah, and I really appreciate that. A lot of times people push white people to apologize for this and that, but you actually have a perspective that I really appreciate. And some people say all white people are the enemy. That's definitely not true. Right? There's people that poor who've been in the struggle.
The
And
masses
Gus
of
James
white
to me
people
is
have been
actually my friend,
used.
just straight up. Yeah, like
Racism is a major issue. The masses of white people have been used and have actively taken part in national oppression, and it's been only been a small minority of people, of white people, who have been legitimately anti-racists. So I mean, I understand the hesitation. I understand the hesitation.
Oh, I make a deal about myself, but I don't want you to really feel like I wouldn't accept you as a brother, right? Yeah, because I would. I appreciate the American experience of being a minority, right? Even though it kind of sucked in some ways, but it opened my eyes in a lot of ways. So I appreciate a brother that
I hate that. Well, there's this whole the communist perspective on the so-called minorities is they're not minorities, they're oppressed nations.
Right.
So the Black Belt South is kept in poverty to super exploit them.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Asian diaspora, they're not oppressed nations with the United States, but they're seen as individuals of their mother country that need to be suppressed.
Here's a couple of funny stories that will actually serve to reinforce what you just said, right? Yeah. So I was actually in medical school in Grenada, right? Yeah, and the discrimination there is actually you go to the grocery store and all the pictures of white people, it's actually more pronounced the racism there. And then when we got off the plane, and one of the and not cutting down on white people, one of the white girls came off the plane, right? Yeah, Grenada is mostly black country, right? Yeah, and she said, "Look at all the minorities." Yeah, right. But she's we're in Grenada now, right? Yeah. Then she called black people over there. She called black people over there African Americans. They weren't even American. Like it was just this mindset. This kind of we're gonna apply what we have to everything in the world, right? Yeah. If you're black, you're African American, even if you're not even America. Like, wow, okay, like it was hilarious. So yeah, you speaking a lot of truth, man. With your recognition of how how they're perceived, how minorities are perceived, and the
I
oppression,
don't know.
right? Yeah, because they're calling them minorities, right? Yeah, but really they're oppressed. That's what the difference is. I'm this class, and you're that class. That's what she
and
meant when they
a
look at
lot
the
of these
minorities, right? It wasn't
exactly, yeah,
minorities because they're not minorities; they're
oppressed
highly
nations
outnumbered. Yeah,
are a class issue. Like
yeah,
the reason why Asian people aren't allowed to come up in U.S. society is white supremacy. They want to brand this
yeah,
as a white society. They don't
yeah,
want it to have any changes, and they want it to keep that thing. And they only want people that serve their image. And
yeah.
what they've
Actually,
done,
Chinese is supposedly 1/4 of the world's
uh-huh,
population. So they're not technically minorities. You're damn right. Yeah, actually, China and India, two largest populations in the
yeah,
world, right? They are actually the majority. So yeah,
yeah.
you're damn
I
right.
think
Yeah,
some of your beef with the opportunist bougie uh, black bourgeoisie is the Asian group, the oppressed Asian people within this country, the diaspora, don't has as a developed neo-colonial government. Black people in this country have a internal neo-colonial government that serves the white power structure and
yeah,
not the black people.
you're
And
damn
that's
right.
who
Yeah,
you're coming across. And Asian folks largely don't even have that. They have nothing that claims to represent them.
yeah. It's kind of sad. Did you get the emails that I had about trying to confront
Yeah.
the Asian American curriculum?
No, no,
Okay.
I don't
I know
check
I
my
sent you some
emails.
crazy emails. Yeah,
I know you write a lot of emails.
I do, and they're
I
crazy. I'm
don't
sorry. I
check
know they're too
emails, man.
long and stuff.
I
Yeah.
check Facebook. Send me on Facebook message, links
Okay.
there or text there. I check there.
Yeah, there's an interesting discussion that we're having right now. Actually, the president of the only unionized Chinese restaurant in all of New York City actually just got in on the conversation. So that was an interesting little thing. I could, I could forward it to you, but I already sent you a bunch of stuff to read. I'm so sorry,
I
man. Yeah,
love your
you don't have
specific
to. Yeah,
about the demasculization of Asian men, how Asian people are suppressed within influencing academia and within
yeah.
STEM jobs and other stuff. I love your work on that. It's very
Oh,
important
thank
work.
you, thank you.
It needs to be said. And honestly, I think if you keep putting it out there, I think the masses of Black and Chicano people, the workers, not the fakes and the bougie folks, can be in solidarity with you. I think they would love to
Yo,
learn about
you
that.
don't know how badly I needed that. I need that so
Yeah,
bad, man. Yo, I appreciate that. Oh my god, I'm about losing my mind, bro. I'm about to like put my head through
yeah.
a wall, man. Yo, I need that so bad. You don't even know, man. I really appreciate that,
I
man.
think poor whites can identify somewhat
I think so.
because
Yeah,
if you look at like I'm a big fan of country music, but it's even our culture has been manipulated in ways that serve the the establishment. Like country music been sanitized, all the lefty lyrics, all the pro working class stuff. It's all like you need to buy a truck and you need to get drunk
and all
and
the
all
ugly
the
people they got rid of. Johnny Cash's wife was a
yeah,
great artist. She'd never make it in
exactly.
today's era. You know what I mean? She was a great
Yeah,
singer. Yeah. Now
yeah,
you got
it's
to look a
been
certain way and sound a
manipulated.
certain way. It's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but Americans have been brought to have a taste for fake shit. You know what I mean? Nah, you gotta start looking at the real shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all expect everything to look like like it was grown out of a fact. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? From
Mm,
the food
yeah.
to the women to the music, it's all so fake, man.
Mm.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I feel like you have element of realness about you, man, and I really appreciate that so much, man. And I hope that really that look, no one's perfect in this world, right? Yeah, but I prefer your style of communism and your actual concern and care for actual victims and workers and stuff. Yeah, over views and clout and shit. I really appreciate that so much. How can I help? Well, you already have me in part of your group once again, Dust James. How can people look up I'm a fan of Dust James. How can people follow your work and get more
I got
involved
a
with you?
YouTube channel. Just Google Dust James Anti-Imperialist America. I run a Facebook group, Anti-Imperialist America. I actually run a real country music group that uses country music to push people towards leftist politics called
Okay.
Cowpunk Commie Country Revolt.
That's a cool name. It's a cool name, yeah.
And I don't know, I got a few message groups. If you're an anti-imperialist, if you're just genuinely progressive and with the people, I'm not progressive, don't mean with the Democrats. Progressive, the real meaning of progressive means you want to move forward. You don't want to move back to make America great again. You want to move in a more racially equally just society. That's progressive, right? If you want to move towards something better and not the past and willing to work for it, you're my comrade and I want to work with you. And if you want to meet like-minded people, I'd be glad to add you to my chat group and help, and we can use mutual aid and help support each other's efforts.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's on Facebook. I'm part of that group, and I have a
I
good
also
time.
got one on Twitter.
Yeah.
I had one.
I'm banned on
I have a
Twitter.
Discord
I'm
as
banned
well.
on Twitter. I'm sorry, bro. I'm
Yeah.
banned on Twitter. But
But I know
I'm
where
part
the
of-
people
yeah.
are at. There's not.
But
It's decentralized. It's very loose. It's not at this point. I'm basically promoting cells of people that support each other
I hope people
with no
from my
top down
audience go and
leadership.
sign up.
Like
Yeah,
I
go
want
look
to
at that.
have
Yeah.
the leadership. I want to have. I'm a communist. I want an organization that has the strength and the discipline to have the leadership. But until I get the masses of the people, until I'm actually doing something for the people, I can't justify top down leadership. I got to use horizontal leadership until I prove myself.
Oh, wait a
But
second. Okay, wait. So communism is top-down leadership?
Not it uses democratic centralism.
Okay,
Meaning
so
you need democratic organizations to be able to understand the conditions, needs, and wants of the people. And through those organizations in motion, it relates to leadership that can take out tasks on their behalf, democratic centralism. Like, I don't have the ability to currently practice democratic centralism. So I usually, I'm right now, my basis is very loose, just kind of like cells and broad information war, as well as connecting people that can help each other regardless if it helps me.
So okay, so
Just
I like
people
what you
supporting people on a very horizontal basis. That's what I've been doing. That's my until I can get something better and prove myself. That's
so
what I'm
just
going to
as
go
like
forward.
as a theoretical aspect, right, with it, just because I do have some concern. I think I'm a little bit more libertarian minded in those particular aspects, right? Because here's my concern, right? When you have a bunch of people, right, yeah, like that are, like you said before, like cowpunk, right? Let's suppose that I was a cowboy, right? Yeah, like there's certain realities to like rounding up the cows and doing all that particular work, right? Yeah, which the general public won't know about. And we've seen from our own personal experience, right, that the industry comes in, or people who with outside who may not even be cowboys, right? Or we could take any industry, right? Yeah, but like let's just say cowboys, right? Just because we're talking about like country music and stuff. There'll be someone who's not a cowboy, right? Who actually buys the support of maybe someone who is a cowboy, but gets them to do what he wants, right? Using his money and influence and manipulating the media and stuff, right? Yeah. And how do we actually, right? It's hard for a real person to compete with the fake stuff, but fueled by outside interests. So how does democratic socialism work with a top down, right? When the people who are in charge are not actually interacting or can be influenced, or even
That's why you need the
can be
democratic processes and transition belts. Democratic centralism doesn't work without the democratic part. The democratic part is organizations that serve and listen to the people and relay that to the leadership, and a leadership that actually wants to carry out objectives on their behalf.
I think communism could work if the people are more involved. The people give a
now
shit and
the
actually
question
care.
of how do we get over these fakes? How do we get over these fakes that take potential people that could actually help the people and get them to stroke their own egos?
They're about revolution. What, I can't cut their fucking throats? I can't punch them right in the face? They're fucking revolutionaries, right? Let's see what's up, motherfuckers. Let's see. You want a fucking revolution? Let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Yeah, come on, RevComs. Come on. You talk about revolution. What the fuck? What the fuck you got? What the fuck?
I can see why people run away
Let's
from
see
you
what's
now.
good, bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. You want to talk about revolution?
You really think the middle class pansies are going to want to deal with a real person?
Oh, look,
come on, man.
Okay,
come on, man.
All right.
Oh,
they're talking about it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it just makes him feel good.
Whatever.
Revolution is hard, man. Especially we got the strongest enemy in the world that can beat us up and get away with it. Convince our best friends complete opposite of reality.
Yeah.
And buy people off We have a
Yeah.
hard fucking job to improve the lives of the people. That's why things are so fucked up here. I mean, if you look in Europe,
Yeah.
where the bourgeoisie is, the monopoly capitalists are weaker, right? And so they maintain their labor unions. They have um, good, decent school systems, universal health care. They still have some remnants of communist parties in Europe.
You know,
And the reason why is because it's the peripheral of imperialism. And their monopoly capitalists are just sucking up to the monopoly capitalists here, who are much more powerful, have a lot more money. So in Europe, they don't have the power to suppress, and to an extent. So they need to buy off a bigger portion of the population in
you know,
Europe.
I was
It's
actually in the I was actually inspector for the public housing system down here,
mhm.
and just knowing that community as I do, it would be very difficult to unionize them, right? Yeah, they're not really right because
Mhm.
just because they don't really want to work together, they're just kind of like taking what they can get, right? Yeah, and I'm sorry to say that that's also because the education system has not really taught people to really be working in their own
Mm.
interest. I'm quite interested because you're in the trucking industry. How about right? We see what happened with the railroad workers, right? Can't take care of infrastructure. I know truckers are very independent. What do you think would be the possibility of creating like a truckers union or something like that? They're very independently minded, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The Trotskyites organized the Teamsters largely in the Midwest,
Okay.
right? And then the largest union organization was the Teamsters, led by Jimmy Hoffa,
Right.
in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and had a lot of positive, wonderful strikes. They framed Jimmy Hoffa. They painted him as a gangster. Yeah, he probably worked with the mob to help get us retirement stuff. It is what it is. He did what he had to do.
I
But the
think working
dude,
class people are a little bit more gangster. Yeah. I mean, we have to by any
but the
means
shit,
necessary.
the dude that
Yeah.
they put in there to replace Hoffa
Yeah.
was more in league with the gangs than the fucking Hoffa was.
Well, that's usually how it works too. Yeah. Like, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the reason why the Kennedys didn't like Hoffa was not because he was engaged with the mob. It was because he
Yeah.
was building power and helping keep truckers paid.
Yeah,
You
people
know,
need to relax all that Kennedy worship stuff. I mean, yeah, like there's some good things he said, but like, come on,
yeah,
Camelot, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? This is
yeah.
not a
And he
monarchy. Get
worked
out
with
of
the
here.
right. He worked with the Republicans. He worked with the Republicans. Honestly, the only
Yeah,
reason
some things were
why
good, but not everything. Yeah,
we had Hoffa was because they pushed out the communists. The communists would have been better. They probably wouldn't have worked with the mob, and they probably would have kept roots with the people. Hoffa was kind of corrupt, but he was better than what came later. And the Teamsters is the most right wing fucking union in the country now.
yeah,
Uh, we truckers basically don't have any unions other than a few jobs. They just shut down Roadway, and Yellow Trucking Company was one of the
okay.
biggest union companies in the country. They went bankrupt. Thousands of union jobs were lost
Yeah, I've
just a
actually
few
been
years
watching some
ago.
trucker shows, and there's a lot of like truckers complaining about how Walmart's be screwing them over and not be
Mhm.
accepting their shipments and playing all kinds of games. They might be open to it, but it's hard for them to work together, right? They're on the road a lot. They
The
don't have
only
time to really, yeah,
like if I go into this factory down the street, I'll make about half what I do doing a local trucking job. And maybe I can make 2 or 3 times that on the road. Some truckers make okay money, but the thing is you're working 60, 70 hours local. You'll work 80, 90 hours over the road, and you're forced to eat horrible food that literally kills you. The stress kills you. You can't maintain any social relationships. Like, you're literally killing yourself just to get a little bit of money. And
yeah,
the conditions are getting worse and worse. It's less opportunity for owner operators to make it. It's the same monopoly companies. Honestly, and truck drivers are some of the most right wing,
yeah,
stubborn
yep.
motherfuckers out there. And it's like, the reason why you make so much is not because you're so smart. It's not because you're so much better than people. It's first of all, you're willing
Trading
to
your
kill
life away.
yourself.
You're trading your
Yes,
life
first
away.
of all,
Yeah.
you're willing to kill yourself. And second of all, it was the unions in the 70s and their legacy of people coming together and shooting scabs and putting the real shit on the line, that truckers still get paid as much as they get paid. And we're
Yeah,
losing it because we don't have the unions and they're breaking it up and it's just disintegrating. I think we can organize truckers, but honestly, I think we should focus on other jobs where contradictions are more. Like I think we should be organizing the Amazon workers, the chicken plants, the farm workers. I think the more we're definitely essential,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah. That's what I was thinking about, like
we're
the
so
trains and the
isolated.
trucks,
First of
right?
all,
Yeah,
we're paid a little bit more. We're isolated. It's a hard group to organize, especially with the
yeah,
current conditions. I think some of the also essential, worse paid, more basically oppressed jobs like the chicken plant, others all talk. I think those would be better targets for unionization. I think
yeah.
it'd be better, and they're in the same place all the time. But it's strategy. It's strategy. Where can we build power? What's the best place to do it? What's the most fertile ground to organize workers' power? And I'm only one guy who has a mortgage and a son. Trying to do the best I can. I don't. I'm not. I have a non. I'm not. I don't work for a union company. I wish I had a union company. I work for a big conglomerate that bought up a smaller conglomerate. Doesn't that barely gives us any benefits, and it runs it really top down, and fucking boss harasses you on 24/7. It's you know.
Yeah. The actual truckers themselves have to really come to a realization and realize that no one's going to
Mm,
come and help them. They got to get together and help
mm,
themselves.
yep,
So
I agree.
yeah. Wow, that's you gave me a lot to think about, man. I really appreciate you helping me to really see through. Maybe I've been a little bit naive in a way, but I'm a dealist, so I just
Well,
like to push
I,
through. So
I don't think you can look like you can't say, oh, all the unions are corrupt, therefore unionism doesn't work. Collective bargaining and unionism is the only thing that works. The thing is, we're just so weak that we allowed the infrastructure that used to serve us to serve our enemies because we're
yeah,
not involved. It's still the only way forward. It's the only way to fix it in the union movement. And I think the same thing with leftist organization as general is we either have to go within those organizations and push them from the inside, or we have to build better organizations on the outside, which can also exert pressure over them or simply overcome them.
yeah. I think what we really need, to tell you the truth, is I think Malcolm X put it out there really well. Is what we need is a political education. In the
Hmm.
school system, kids are not really taught to unionize themselves, to really get together and work on their own interests. They're taught to make the teacher happy and get that A.
Yep, I
And
agree.
really, yeah,
We
and
need
yeah,
we used to give labor history classes at the public library. I think we
that's a
need a
great
cult
idea.
we need a culture of solidarity. Instead of I look at my entire perspective is different. Like a normal person goes to a day, and some like let's say a truck driver goes to a fast food place, and this teenager who's overworked, underpaid, can't get the order right, and the driver's like, "Fuck you, you blah blah blah," probably some racist slurs, you know. And I'm looking at like this is a worker, they're underpaid. I wish they
You know,
would get paid more.
I
Maybe they
think that
would.
would be a great idea for I have to go dig into your show a little bit more, but if you had a series or something like that, like labor right school or something like that, I would love to. I would
Yeah,
put that playlist
we
onto my channel, and I would use uh my platform to actually help address some of those issues. So
here's a great book called
okay,
Labor's Untold Story, and it goes
okay,
over the communist-led CIO. You ever heard the AFL-CIO?
yes,
Okay, that was two unions that merged. AFL was the reactionary trade union that was largely racist and didn't want to organize the workers. The CIO was the industrial union that was led by communists and organized so-called unskilled labor or the masses of worker who were unpaid. All labor is skilled, but they would organize the poorer workers. The communists would, and they built up workers' power and can prove conditions. The only reason why things were as good as they were in the 50s and 60s, at least for white people, and maybe some exceptions like the auto worker, the black auto workers in Detroit, was because of workers fought for it. Everything we had, we fought for. Nobody
Yeah.
ever gave us anything. And then when they destroyed our institutions that we fight with, we lost everything.
Yeah, people stopped fighting too. They got the they got hoodwinked so many times, right? Yeah, they pushed the inflation went up and the wages didn't match the rent prices going up. You know, they raise the rents every year, but they don't raise the salaries every year. Like there's just so much ways that they found to just get us in this way or get us in that way. So thank
I
you so
mean,
much for your work. Yeah,
yeah,
appreciate
we look at there was actually a revamp in unionization and a few strikes recently after inflation, but in reality, the inflation was an absolute economic assault
you know
on the buying
actually
power of
one
workers.
thing that's quite interesting, right, is like we were talking earlier tonight about
Uh-huh.
like RevComs and all these other groups, PSL, DSA, right? Yeah. What about unionizing some of the people working there? So one of the people that I want to invite tonight was actually in New York City. They started this for people that work campaigns, right? Yeah. There's actually a Facebook group for another group that like about like campaign workers and stuff about unionizing them, but it's a closed group, the campaign workers union. So that's kind of weird, right? Yeah. And then the thing is that the campaign workers union, I think the guy actually is like DSA affiliated, right? Yeah. He hasn't really been responding back. But as in terms of these organizations and the political organizations, they have their own problems with like people signing NDAs and this kind of like abuse of their own workers, right? How can these organizations claim to, right? So maybe there's a way to move that forward too, right? That would be interesting. Yeah. Oh, I
I
want
mean,
to
it
go to
takes
People's Forum and
any
PSL talk to you about
organization,
unionizing. That'd be
any
hilarious.
organization where the masses aren't involved in keeping leadership in check is going to fall into disrepair and abuse the people it's supposed to serve. I mean, it
Absolutely.
takes the masses of people involved, actively participating, and then a leadership that's willing to listen to that group that's participating. That's effective organization. And it has exists. Everybody that's ever done anything good, that was the structure they used.
I'm down, bro. Yeah, that's it sounds good to me, man. I would like collective bargaining. I would like workers to be treated more equally. I think we all know that there's a income and a wealth gap in this country that is just inexcusable, and it's just it. If you allow this wealth gap to happen, then you're basically admitting that you're stupid, and it's really come on, you know what I mean? Like, or less deserving than the next man. It's shameful. So I hope we can make this happen. And this session tonight was very I needed it really bad, man. I really appreciate
I
you. Yeah.
gotcha. My point on the unions was it may appear like we had some resurgence, but if you look at the absolute assault that inflation was, basically any existing unions, just to prove they were worth their existence, had to do something because that's how much inflation was an attack and a degrade in the standard of living in the working class. Like we're
Yeah,
losing. We need to do. We are losing.
yeah.
It's going to take people coming. I think it's going to take people coming to the brink and then people are so uneducated and they don't even know about how to move forward. There's so many con artists leading people in the wrong directions. I mean, people just got to learn as much as they can. Each one teach one. As soon as you know something good, teach it to somebody else. Don't hoard knowledge for your own ego or use
I
knowledge
you
to
know yeah.
simply support yourself. Give knowledge freely to anybody that can use it.
There is something that unfortunately I just got reminded of just like off the moment right now. The thing is that and I want to give props to Jessica Ramos. She's actually the state labor, right? Yeah, at the state senate. She actually, or senate, or I don't know, she's in the state legislature. She's in charge of the labor. I saw her at the Amazon Labor Union Party. That was, she was very excited about them. But one of the things that happens is that sometimes labor unions are not really looking out for people with disabilities and stuff like that. And people with disabilities, we can make the jobs accommodating for them. I understand that it's pricey and stuff. But once again, people that are compassionate actually give a crap about just humanity and people themselves, like yourself, right? Yeah, It's not just about for me the ideology. I know you're really a big fan of communism, but for me the people that are implementing it are a huge part of it, and I really appreciate
Hmm.
your ongoing concern for people that are actually working and people. I think that you're actually a very good spokesperson and representative for communism. And if it was communism under, I'm not just trying to shill here, but I'm not afraid to call people out. So if I thought you was whack, trust me, we'll fucking go down in a second. But I really appreciate you. Really are standing out in many ways compared to other organizations. I'm so thankful that I am actually able to, and so thankful for your continued interactions. But there is a difference between your communism and the other communisms that I've seen around. Yeah,
Hmm.
you
There's
get
just
what
a
I'm saying,
difference
right?
between me and them. Communism is the same. Me and them is different. People could say they're communists, but are they actually working towards it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they are, man. I think they're oppressing the workers, man. But
Yeah.
and you can see it by the way that they don't really care about like when these issues are brought up
I
to
don't
their
know.
attention. But
I
yeah,
got to give you a word of caution.
okay,
Okay, so we know that the enemy is powerful,
right.
and it will manipulate and buy off and suppress when necessary.
But I think that
And
also part of that is also the people themselves, right? They're allowing this to happen. They are actually somewhat
I don't know,
responsible as
man.
well.
I think we've been beat down. Like if you look at the situation between Europe and the United States, it isn't that the Europeans are more in tune and collective and just more progressive people altogether. The workers in the United States have been beat down. They've been lied to. They spend billions of dollars on the most effective lies. Like it is a real force and a real enemy. Like I don't like to blame the people. I'll blame the capitalist 100% of the time, and I will look and recognize the real flaws in the people, and then I'll figure out how to overcome and help people overcome those flaws to better fight the capitalists.
They've been trained to a consumerist way of thought, right? Yeah,
Yes.
where they just buy all the solutions instead of really examining them. So yeah, I am with you too because if I really
Hmm.
thought the people was all bad, I just go out and
No,
whack
but
them all down. But I really do believe that people overall want to be good,
my
want to be idealistic,
my
and
final point of caution is a lot of these groups like PSL, which is basically run by the Becker family, only specifically focuses on the issues the Becker family wants to focus on,
mm-hmm.
largely disconnected from the masses.
Ooh, let them know.
I
I
agree with you. They are still facilitating demonstrations and giving space for the Palestinian organization to come out
appreciate
en
that.
mass.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But they shut
300,
me out. Yeah.
oh, it was, I think it was 300,000 people, the largest pro Palestinian demonstration in U.S. history. And I was able to go and see that and be a part of that. And I thought that was good that they facilitated that.
I feel you. I agree with you. Yeah, I don't
And,
want to be
but
PSL's enemy at all. I
yeah,
think they do some good
but
work, but it's really
movementism can
disappointing.
go only go so
Yeah,
far. We keep having these big demonstrations and nothing happens with it.
that as well. That as well. Hell
But
yeah,
I
we gotta
still
have
I
some real
like what they're
progress.
doing. They got something to offer. So my thing is like
They
I'm
do
not
have,
going to
yeah.
completely cancel PSL or cancel RCP. I'm going to be like, okay, this is what these organizations are. These are what their limitations are. And this is what they have to offer. And then I'm going to work with them as much as possible to either help improve them or build better.
Okay. Now, I just now the thing is that 24 is coming up. That's a pretty interesting time, because of the elections and all that stuff. Some people say they don't get involved in electoral politics. It does have actually effects on right the poor people, though, right? Yeah, it's just a fact. So, um, being North Carolina, that's actually a very key state, as in terms of like a lot of electoral politics. It's actually it's a blessing to be there. They're actually the Democrats are trying to move that to be one of the first states in the nation to vote and push that ahead of Iowa. So the importance of Carolinas may go up dramatically in terms of like electoral strength. Do you have any plans to get involved in the 24 election cycle? And
I
not necessarily for a candidate, but just like as in terms
I
of your
have done
perspective.
very limited political. electoral work. I think my emphasis is largely broad education, and connecting people that can help other people. But I'm only one person. The limited amount of electoral work, I did help an insurgent candidate run for county commissioner, and
Yeah,
they largely were using that simply publicity to support the co-ops that they were building within the Black community in Greensboro.
not
Shout
the
out
worst thing.
to Comrade Fahim Hanna. Folks want to look into his work. I did some campaign work for him. Um, the other thing, I do support the Green Party in North Carolina. It
Okay,
is, we were able to get on the ballot, and then we lost ballot access. We had Matt Ho, who was a senator. Um, Honestly, the third party candidates did not do well with the Trump fiasco. So everyone either came out to support Trump. It was about Trump. It wasn't even about Biden. Either people came out to support Trump or vote against Trump in mass
yeah,
because the things got manipulated so bad. I think building independent anti-duopoly either insurgent candidates on the local level that may actually have a chance of getting it, that can get in those positions that aren't complete controlled and actually do some good for some people on the local level. And I think the Green Party needs to do that more. They keep focusing on the federal.
and I have
I
allies
like
in
that
North
they're
Carolina.
there.
I'm gonna send them your way.
Yeah.
There's some people that I'm working with. I
Yeah, they
did a
keep
little bit of
working
work with
on the
Matt
federal.
Ho. He
I'd
was
like to see
disappointing to
more
me.
of these insurgent. The guy I helped run, he was running as a Democrat. I don't care if you're running Democrat or Republican. If you can get in an office that's not being paid attention to,
Yeah,
and if
special
you got a
agent. Yeah,
network that can stick you in there, I don't care what party you run
yeah.
on, you can do some good for the people. That'd be good. I mean, you might get bought off,
Even
maybe.
outside of
Yeah,
pushing a candidate, it's like a good time to like
yeah.
lobby for certain issues, right? Like your
I got you. I
internationalism and
got you.
stuff like
I
that, right?
think
Yeah, like
the
it's
biggest
really
thing we
important.
need to do is build independent infrastructure. There is no hope in the Democratic Party. There is no hope in the Republican Party. Even if you're going to run insurgent campaigns within those parties, you got to know that party's an enemy,
I'm
and
working with
you're
the Green
only
Party
doing it to
Alaska
build
right
your own
now to
infrastructure.
try to move. Right, I think electoral politics is like in the meantime, in between time, but yeah, the idea later on is to move past electoral politics. I agree with that, but in the meantime, in between time, and also because people get involved and because it does have
Yeah,
effect,
and it's
and
good
also
to
it's
run.
good to learn.
PSL
It's good
runs
to
a
learn by
candidate
doing.
every year to
Yeah,
support their organization. Honestly, I would
yeah.
like to see PSL and the Green Party work together, but they don't because they're more. PSL would rather just raise money for themselves and awareness
They don't
promoting
want to
themselves.
share. Yeah, they don't want to share. You gotta
Exactly.
smell what's up. Yeah, smell it. Smell the
And
bullshit. Come on.
the Green Party is too focused in the middle class liberals. I'd like to see the Green Party get out some more oppressed communities. I'm a big fan of Jamu Baraka and
Okay.
Black Alliance for Peace.
All right.
I think he's probably one of the best forces within the Green Party. Um,
Well, maybe he's cool, but the thing is that he's a little bit close to Jill Stein than I would like. There's
yeah,
also Matt Ho also was, just so you know. I know he seemed really good, and I had high hopes for him. I used to have a sign over there for Matt Ho, which I used to have like and then I ripped it down because he was just so disappointing, man.
mm.
So live candidates seem good. I'm sorry to say no, but
Honestly,
I
in
just
North Carolina,
yeah,
there's only one there for the federal. Like, to me, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's my precious vote, and it means so much to me." To me, it's like voting strategic. Voting is strategic. I don't give a fuck. I think my activism and awareness building is more than anything the vote could do, especially third party
absolutely, absolutely,
politics.
yeah. Like honestly,
Especially third party. Third
yeah,
party is like all when I'm going to vote for Jill Stein. And I know all the problems with
okay,
Jill Stein, probably better than you know the problems with Jill Stein. The
maybe,
thing
okay,
is,
possible.
I don't give a fuck. It's the only
Five
candidate
percent,
that's a
okay,
left candidate. It's the most powerful, genuinely left candidate that exists.
okay.
That's it.
I
That's
think
it.
she used to be, but
And I'll keep
yeah,
and I'll vote it and move on and keep doing my work and keep being principled. It's just a
I get it, I
strategic
get it,
vote. That's
I
it.
get it. Yeah. Hey, you know what?
And most of all, I don't
that's
I don't even give
technically
a fuck
wrong. I won't
about.
say technically wrong for that, right? I get that, like
Yeah,
in terms of gaming, but yeah, but I get it.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah,
I
maybe we can
voted
get into
for
that
Howie
later. But yeah,
Hawkins because and it's not even about those candidates.
yeah,
I
I get it.
want to
Yeah,
see a stronger Green Party. And I want to see a Green Party with better infrastructure that has better connections with the masses that can better serve the masses. And
well, I
simply
got
me
some
saying,
interesting plans coming up, and I think that you might be
yeah,
actually. A lot of it is exactly what we're
if it
talking about.
can't be
Like
done through the Green Party,
yeah,
it can't be done. But it's certainly not the fucking libertarians. The libertarians are a largely racist group that gets onto
some of them,
the welfare trope. And
some
basically
of them.
they
Yeah,
and basically they're like, we need to take welfare away from black people. That's like their whole thing. Oh, we can't fund anything that helps the people. Like they say they're against the wars, and that's good. I've been on anti-war rallies, right, with
okay.
libertarians. But if you look at how the libertarians use, they're an austerity group to cut funding that actually goes to working class and oppressed people. That's all they are. That's all they ever
Mm,
like. I don't, they're a right wing group to me.
I see some of the I see some values in some of the things that they say as well, not just beyond the so some of the programs that are meant to help us are actually weaponized against us. You made like reference to that earlier. So sometimes they're allies in terms of helping to fight those things. We're not going to agree on absolutely everything, but some of the things like as in like free speech and stuff, I do actually think that they're on the
Now, people within,
support.
I have won at least 10 libertarians to socialism.
Okay.
So I'm not against talking to them as individuals, but I
Yeah.
think libertarianism as an ideology is poison and inherently right wing.
It's hard for me to be against any particular ideology because you could say you're against Christianity because Christianity has killed so many people and caused so much suffering, or you could say
Mm.
right some Christians are like that. Let's be real, right? Christians have done a lot of murderous stuff, but they even have like weird, right? Yeah, they take the dude killed his own son, and like they have like people being tortured, and that's the religious symbol. Like there's some really odd, weird. The guy, there's some odd, weirdo stuff
I
going
got you. I
on
got you.
with Christianity, but still I can respect. There's still nice people around that I've met in it. So, right, once again, in libertarians, there's still some people, right? The which was actually quite odd, right? The state senator for New York was actually Tom Queter, who's actually a disabilities advocate. So usually disabilities and libertarians are really fighting against each other because libertarians
Mm.
say we don't want to take care of anybody else like disabled. But it was interesting. Like his approach was libertarians, I should have the freedom to be able to fix or operate my own wheelchair.
I,
So
there can definitely be exceptions.
yeah. So
I'm talking about the general ideological
yeah, and
trend.
what you're saying is actually, sorry to my libertarian friends, I actually agree. So what he's saying is not right. Overall, I have to agree with. There is some element of we don't want to be responsible for anybody else or take care of them. I personally do want to take care of people more. That's why the Alpha 7 is green, okay, because I have more of that eco
I mean,
socialist type of idealism. But
they have used the government has anything they do for us, they're doing against us. But they also have to stop us from resisting and placate us. So a lot of like Social Security was won by communists. They were scared of a communist revolution in the 40s in the Great Depression, or 30s in the Great Depression, and they implemented Social Security. So Social Security was a benefit that communists fought for and won. Yes, it helped stabilize capitalism, but do we want to take away Social Security? No. We should fight for
yeah,
more. We should fight for better. If the current
and
programs
stop
that they
rating it
set
to
up,
pay for their pet projects and actually like pay the people that are
yeah,
actually supposed
if
to get it. Yeah,
we
like
need
stop lying. Yeah,
I don't think like I'm for improving I'm not for taking away the little we have, which is what libertarians want to do,
some of
or at
them.
least
Yeah.
their
Well,
ideology.
actually, there's a new group that took over called the Mises Caucus, which is also like,
Yes.
like that's even like people are not happy about that. So there's like a conflict
Yeah.
within them. There's different factions. But
Mhm.
just so you know, one thing that I want to tell you about is right now there's unfortunately because of most Americans want to go third party. Most Americans are disgusted with the Democrats, Republicans, and the BS that's going on there. So I do believe that there's actually a concerted offer now more than ever to gain control of the third party independent space. And I do believe that Jill Stein and the libertarians are actually working together in historical ways against the interests of the community,
Maybe.
right? I think that, yeah, I think they kind of got
Maybe.
sucked in together. Maybe, yeah, maybe not, right? That's also true too. So go out and do
I
your own
think
investigation with that.
I'm still gonna like. I'm still going to vote for it. Like,
I'm not
I
bad
don't.
at that. Like,
There's,
you gave me a
there's no
decent
other
reason,
option.
and
You know what I'm trying to say? It's like
there
I
are.
hope
There's
that
Cornell
if the
West
Green
going
Party gets
protesting.
stronger and has actually some community base that can influence the leadership, maybe we can have better candidates.
Oh, you know, actually, every election cycle you could see it. I think this year is more than 1,000 candidates. Every election cycle, the number of people running for president goes up and up and up. So there's more candidates. How you mean, like, you know, viable candidates, or, you know, believable candidates, right? A lot of candidates have. I might reach out to them at some point, yeah. But the thing is that also, so many candidates, right? Yeah, after the election is over, don't give a damn and don't work on anything, and it's disgusting and obvious how fake they are. And yeah, so just look out for that.
I mean,
too.
at least PSL uses their candidacy to fund their movementism. Like they
PSL,
use
so you
that.
do some good work, and I'm telling you right now, I'm in New York. I know you're based in California. I know you got a lot of work going on here in New York. We could be at peace. Stop fucking around. Let's have a conversation, Mr. Becker.
I mean, that's good. I mean, that's better than I'm not going to mention names.
Okay.
With
I'm not here
people
just to whack them, but yeah, they don't get to cut me out.
Yeah, people that just run candidates and then don't do anything to last the year. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. Oh, New York City, it's crazy. Oh my God, I could name. It's basically almost all of them. Yeah, there's so many of them.
Honestly, the whole idea of communists working with electoral politics is simply to convince the masses that electoral politics don't work.
Well, you know, actually, I don't really. I think I call that, but also it's another way to interact with the community. It's another way to find out who's really needs the change so bad that they're even willing to engage, right? Yeah, with this system here, because they have no other choice. That's where you're gonna find the real revolutionaries, and you know, it's not bad experience to just, like, you know, try different, you know, systems and stuff. So
I mean, that's another reason why I kind of like the Green Party, because they expose the system, because the Democratic judges keep throwing them off the ballot. And if they didn't try to organize, if they didn't do anything, then the people weren't being exposed to the Democratic Party's corruption by getting rid of the third parties. I mean, that's positive work.
All right. Yeah. And
but you know, it's tactical. Everybody has their limitations. Everything has purpose, and everything has its objectives. I don't believe in purity politics. Like you want, what do you want to do? How are you going to get it? Who are we going to work with? Let's do it. Like, that's, you know,
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Me neither. Yeah. I'm willing to work with people. Yeah. Even if they've harmed me somewhat. Yeah. But until I get a voice, until I have agency, until I have control and some level of
honestly,
power,
we need the free thinkers.
Yeah.
You know, I was an anarchist before I was a communist.
Interesting. Okay. What do you think about? Okay, so there's other. What do you think about Jason Unruh and these other anarchists?
Unruh is supposedly a Maoist who is a gas station a service worker who occasionally gets paid to go on Iranian television. Really? And he's largely dropped out of doing YouTube videos.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. But
so what made you go from anarchist to anarchists are actually usually also attract the most disenfranchised with society and the most disenfranchised.
I was an anarchist because the government was my enemy and the people are my friends.
Are you an anarcho-communist?
No, and then I realized communists actually get shit done, and now I'm a communist. Anarchists never get shit done. Like what I'm talking about.
I'm an anarchist.
I know, but you bring out whenever I talk to you, you remind me and bring out my anarchist tendencies. Like the communist in me is telling me, okay, PSL, they're fucked, but they're doing this, and okay, why am I attacking them instead of capitalists themselves? Why am I taking so much energy? Like, I know they're fucked up.
Because they're keeping you poor, because they're actually monopolizing all the money.
But it's still the main capitalists are still the main enemy. The capitalists are still the main enemy. I should be exposing my community to the capitalist, organizing them, and then if we have run-ins with PSL and they start fucking us up, then I tell people about PSL. if they get in our way, like I organize the people to do better against the capitalists, and then if PSL is going to get in my way, fuck them. I'm going to stop them. I'm going to call them out. But I still think I should focus on the capitalists. But when I hear you running up on the street to these people and calling them fuckers out, I'm thinking about me, 19 years old, going into these meetings with these rich fuckers who weren't doing shit and didn't understand me and isolated me. And I'm fucking angry. And I want to tear them fuckers down too. So it's like, it's a mix.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And
you bring out some of my anarchist tendencies.
I would love to work with them. Yeah. I would love to work with them too. Yeah. I respect their work in some aspects, but stop playing games with your elitist ass Medea Benjamin and
it's
otherwise I would love to work with y'all. Yeah. I feel MLK said there's no disappointment where there's no great love. You know what I mean? So if I didn't admire your work in some ways, right? Yeah, I wouldn't be causing this drama. I wouldn't give a rat's ass. But you say the words, do the actions. That's all. We could be friends. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're irrelevant, they're irrelevant. If they're not going to do it, we got to do it.
They're relevant to me, but I'll make them relevant. Yeah,
and
and they're capturing all the kids, and they're going to quit in 3 years instead of becoming real, really learning and growing in the system. They're going to be exploited.
So you go to them and you prove yourself better, and you keep folks running.
All right,
and eventually you'll have the power, and they won't.
We'll see. Well, we'll see.
Hopefully,
man.
that's the plan.
25 years
you got to try.
Game,
what else are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
What is your plan?
What
man?
else you got to live for? What else you got to live for? My plan, just keep heading forward. Right? With people like yourself and building that critical mass we need to achieve the change that we need, right? Yeah, and to fight for America the way that I believe.
I'm willing to listen. I'll do anything that works. Like, my primary ambition is helping the people. If you got a plan to help the people, I want to hear it. I have listened to all the plans. I have studied all the plans. I have looked at them. I've worked with all the organization. This is what I have now is the best I've come up with. And this is the best I'm telling folks.
Well, one of the plans I'm most excited about, if you go to the dgl7.com website, you'll see the center thing says rep my block. What we've done is we've actually taken the voter data. We've made this open source to the public. And the thing is that there's something called county committee. Now, in New York City, county committee actually, it was determined by 8 votes, the Manhattan County Committee. And the county committee was actually taken over in Nevada. You might have heard about how the non-establishment Democrats took over in Nevada. Now, why is this so important? Okay, well, there's a couple reasons. First of all, right, this county committee backdoors in 1/3 of all elected officials, because the person in office will leave early for whatever reason, and then someone will be pushed in through special election with very low voting rates, and basically it's a way for them to walk. And so many people, I think even FDR walked in through this, right? So many establishment politicians that you know about are backdoored in this way. Not only that control, which is significant, but another thing they control is the judge selection. And a lot of times when you're actually fighting for criminal justice reform, electoral justice reform, a lot of times the last stop you go to is the judge. And that's why they don't tell you about these particular mechanisms. So the thing is that besides the voter data, which is actually taking care of the local, right? When you hear about the coin flips that, like when Bernie was running and they flipped coins in some weird room, some weird meeting, right? Where are those things happening? It's happening at county committee and state committee. Not only that, but the thing is that by releasing the voter data, you can see who's actually involved and who actually cares enough to actually just do the minimum vote. And when you're doing your activism and like trying to fight for either a co-navigated program for the deafblind, or trying to have civilian review boards, right, and have a greater amount of, right, and if you look up New York City, I don't know how it is North Carolina, all of them are political appointees or organizational, not-for-profit, or industrial complex appointees. There's civilian, it's not civilian. It's a politically controlled. That's why you don't hear any outcry for accountability from the police. And, so when we're trying to get these things done, by having the list of the voters, right, instead of you do a rally, okay, 300,000 people, how many people actually voted? That's why PSL is getting nowhere. They could actually go to those people. What do the politicians do when they want to get voted? They go door to door. And you could take all that energy and go door to door and talk to people that actually vote and focus and concentrate your efforts. But instead of doing that, right, they don't want that. They want these kids and they want these people to keep giving them the money. So they keep instead of actually doing things that will actually progress these issues and actually get real change, they stall it and make sure that all the people who's getting actual change smack them down, so nothing can actually happen. They can keep taking the money, and it's foul and disgusting. So that's
Right
one
on,
of the
brother.
the
That's
voter
good,
data.
man.
The voter data can make that it may be free in your state. There's a guy named Brian from an American Union. He's a former 3-time state elected legislator from New Hampshire. I'm gonna put him into your I'm referring to you. Maybe you could make the voter data available, and that could be a powerful tool to help lobby for changes. Like actually, I think Carolinas have one of the highest incarceration rates in the nation in terms of locking up poor black folks and stuff. And maybe that could help you really start to win and actually make the real changes like we talked about, right? Yeah. Then you actually help people, you gain credibility, right? Yeah. And then we come up and fuck their bullshit that doesn't get anything done. And they'll come to our plate and I'll say, you know what, let's talk. But all the time that you made me wait, I'm not going to make you wait, but you're going to have to give something up.
Right on, brother. I
Yeah.
like it.
You're not going to just walk away like none of this shit happened. I didn't suffer for nothing. Yeah.
I got you. I like
All
it.
right. I
I'm
love
down.
it. So thank you. Yeah, I'm putting you in contact with my people in North Carolina, and hopefully we can make some big things happen, man. Very excited.
All right, brother. It's getting late. I got to work in the morning. It was
Thank you
really
so
good
much.
talking with you.
God bless, brother. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to head
Have a good
out.
night.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.